Recording.
Thank you.
All right, mic's up.
A very good morning to you, Lagos, and thank you for staying with us here on Smooth 98.1. You are listening and tuned in to Smooth Breakfast with Ayo.
I'm Valentine.
And this morning, Lagos, it's time for us to talk, time for you to talk to us. We are going to have a very interesting conversation that's hinged on two very key events that were marked this month on the 4th of February and the 15th of February. The first being the World Cancer Day, and then the second, the 15th, that's last Friday, being the World Day for International Childhood Cancer Day. Now, the 2019 theme is to share the spotlight on the top 5 facts we must know about cancer in children. To join us in this conversation this morning, we have a very reputable personality talking about cancer and children cancer, childhood cancer in Nigeria.
Dr. Peju Adeniram is here with us. Dr. Peju Adeniram, Head of Programs at the Dorcas Cancer Foundation. And we'll be looking around the theme for this year's International Childhood Cancer Day, which is no more pain and no more loss for all children with cancer around the world. Every year we have this. And just to give a little background on this, now the International Childhood Cancer Day is celebrated around the world each year on February 15th. The main goal of this global health event, which was founded in 2002 by Childhood Cancer International, is to help create awareness about childhood cancer to reduce mortality and eliminate all cancer-related pain and suffering of children fighting the disease. And so we thought it was important to bring Dr. Peju Adeniran, on the show this morning, and also to get you to to call in and ask your questions in creating awareness and hopefully ultimately reducing mortality of incidences of child cancer in Nigeria as part of the rest of the world. You're
Dr.
welcome
Peju,
again.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Excited to see you this morning
Yes.
and talk with you. Lagos, join the conversation by sending us messages through WhatsApp to 0809 444 0981. But most importantly, call 01 981 is the number to call. That is 01 981. Dr. Peju, we know that every year, according to records from the Childhood Cancer International, over 300,000 children are diagnosed with cancer, one form of cancer or the other. In Nigeria, precisely, we find that it's an uncomfortable sight to see on the roads. We see that some children are left helpless on the side of the road, maybe by a parent or two, begging for money. We see the different forms of the blastoma and all that. But tell us some of the challenges you and your foundation have been experiencing.
Right, so thank you very much for having me. I work with the Dorcas Cancer Foundation, and we are a not-for-profit organization, and we've been working in this space for about 3 years. And the reason why we felt it was something we wanted to invest our time in and do was we needed to change the narrative around children cancer in Nigeria. We are very aware Nigeria is not alien. We're not alien to the idea of cancer, right? We know by now there's a lot of awareness going on about adult cancers. The average woman can tell you a little bit about breast cancer and how she should get her breast screened.
Yes.
We know about lung cancer. We know about prostate cancer in men. But there was a very telling gap when it came to cancers in children. And that was because for the longest time, many people did not even believe that children could get cancers. Because when it came to adult cancers, the risk factors people understand is that it's a lifestyle thing. The choices you make in your life, like smoking, exposure to radiation, drinking, lack of exercise. So believing that those are the things that cause cancer made it difficult for people to say, how can children have cancer? They don't do any of these things. And that's true. Children are not exposed to these risk factors. And that made it easy for people to sweep under the carpet the idea that, children could working about at the beginning of this, I would go out and speak to people, and I'm very shocked that even people who are otherwise very educated, very exposed, are hearing that children have cancer. Hearing in Nigeria, are hearing that children have cancer for the very first time in their lives,
Yeah.
which is, wow, mind blowing. So some of the challenges is that, number one, lack of awareness. People don't even know that this thing is possible in children. The second challenge is also statistics. I'm glad you started from 300,000 people, children in the world diagnosed. And I wish we could easily say, oh, this is the number of children that are diagnosed in Nigeria. And I often get asked that. And the honest answer is that we don't have the national statistics. Again, linking back to the initial thing that I said.
Yes.
Now, if you asked me what the national statistics are for breast cancer, I can give you, a very good estimate. And if you ask me about prostate, I can do the same. And that is because there is something called a cancer registry.
Okay.
In any country, and a cancer registry basically is anyone that presents to a hospital with cancer technically should be registered in something called a registry. So there are two types of registries. There's a hospital-based registry and there's a population-based registry.
Okay.
Both of these work to capture the cases of cancer in the country, basically, and that lets us know, okay, listen, are we seeing more cancers from this part of the country? What's going on? Are we seeing plenty of breast cancers here? Are we seeing plenty of prostate cancers here? So we pull all that data together. It allows us to say, oh, what should we be looking at? Are there some risk factors here? Are there some exposures here? But I'll tell you this, that for almost all and there are 22 hospital-based registries and cancer registries in Nigeria, collecting data, and people are doing very good work, very tiring, but very important work. You know what's missing on that registry? Children's cancers.
Wow.
Yeah. So nobody has, as old as the cancer registry program in Nigeria is, nearly 40, 50 years, you can't find children.
But that's worrisome. I mean, we see that in Nigeria, especially as you've given, you've highlighted the gaps that exist, and it's really worrisome to note that, I mean, childhood cancers arguably are some of the most preventable cancers or curable.
Absolutely.
More than the adult forms.
Absolutely.
So how is it that we're having this problem and it seems as if attention hasn't been placed on that?
Well, for the most part, I would like to say that probably previously, even the parents that were treating their children for cancer probably did not know that they were treating the children for cancer.
So what would you say was what would you say was the reason for that? So I had to check that in. Would it be that wrong diagnosis?
Absolutely.
All right.
Wrong diagnosis. Because when we look at this is a developing country. When you ask yourself, and when the development partners, the international bodies look at a country like Nigeria we're developing, when they develop programs for children, they say, oh, you know what's killing children? It's malaria, it's diarrhea, it's HIV, it's TB, and all of those are good programs. No questions about that. But sometimes these programs tend to work too well, in the sense that the only message that's being passed on to the population and the healthcare workers are, these are your problems. These are not your problems. These ones are your problems. So a child with cancer could be treated for malaria, malaria. You treat the child seems to get better, the child falls ill again, you take the child back, and that could be going on and on and on for upwards of a year, 2 years, 3 years. Wow. And then, if they want to get creative, they just say, okay, malaria and just a little typhoid. Just, add that onto it, So the child is wrongly diagnosed, wrongly treated, and that can go on for up to a year or two, and the child passes on. So that child was never actually even properly diagnosed, talk less of being captured by data.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, there's so much for us to discuss, and like we mentioned, we'd love to welcome your phone calls as well. We'll go on a quick break right now. When we come back, we'll be looking more into details of the most common kind of cancers found in children, early detection, as that's really key to cure and to getting a remedy and not leading to fatality. But we're going to break right now. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion around International Childhood Cancer Day, raising awareness around the theme, no more pain and no more loss. This is Smooth 98.1.
Awesome. Wow.
Awesome.
This is, oh boy. Wow. I'd also like us to touch on the maybe lifestyle habits or some things that predispose the children to?
Well, the thing about it is that there are definitely blast cells. So a lot of the changes that occur happen while the baby is being formed. That is the distinctive difference, in cancer in children. The genetic mistakes happen while the baby is being born, and somehow it bypasses the editing. So the child who's going to have cancer kind of is born with the propensity to have the cancer in the first place, because they are usually primitive cells, primitive, baby cells that are damaged in the first place. But what's more important is, and some people have said some theories around exposure to radiation, all of that. The data is still out. We're still working on trying to see what it is. But what's more important is because they are primitive cells, they respond very, very well to radiation. You blast them and they're gone, boom, back. That's it. So if the trick is catching early. Once you catch early, diagnose early, you zap them where you need to zap them, and you wouldn't even know if nobody told you that this happened to this child. You wouldn't even know that that is going on. So definitely early diagnosis and treatment.
Hey guys, my name is Rachel Kerr, and let me tell you about my Lagos. There's nowhere on this earth that compares. From mainland to island to the roadside suya, there's nothing like that.
So the phone lines will be open now.
Yeah, sure.
So let people know that they can interrupt the conversation at any time.
You let them know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sure. Absolutely.
The one thing I will say is there's nothing like reaching your
Come back now.
my Lagos.
Lagos, we're talking with Dr. Peju Adeniram. She's the head of programs at the Dorcas Cancer Foundation. She's here to, shed a spotlight really and talk some more, in more detail on childhood cancer, especially as the day was celebrated on the February 15th, last Friday. We're taking your calls on 0144899981. Dr. Peju, we were talking about childhood cancer as one of the more prevalent cases or more prevalent forms of cancer that are experienced by children. Unfortunately, this poses a major problem to the parents who sometimes are left handicapped as to how to care for their kids. But how many of them know what causes the childhood cancer and where does it start from?
Well, if somebody knew what causes childhood cancer, I would write the person the biggest check. Like I'm just going to sign.
Well, there are lifestyle habits that could predispose their children.
Well,
to this?
for the most part, children cancers are caused by genetic mistakes that happen basically more often than not while in the womb. Okay, so it's very hard to say, oh, these are preventive. The child hasn't lived for long enough to have done anything. So it's not like they've smoked or they've been that exposed to radiation. Even though when it comes to radiation, the jury is still out. They're still trying to see if the mother, while the mother was pregnant, being exposed to radiation could be that much of an influence on whether the child develops cancer or not. But like I said, research is still ongoing. So what we know is that with childhood cancers, these mistakes are generally at the time that the child is being formed. Right, so they're usually embryonic, what we call blast cells. Blast cells are basically immature cells that children can still have because they're young. We're all born. The idea is that the cells that were present when we're inside the baby, they all get deleted because some of those cells can be truly troublesome. The child retains some of the blast cells, and then for some reason those blast cells just go haywire. That's basically, so depending on where the blast cells have those kind of cancers, you will now have the kind of name. If it's in the eye, then you have a retinoblastoma. Right, so that's blast cells in the eye. Yeah. So if you have a wound in the kidney, you call it a nephroblastoma. Right. So you see that most of them are blast cells, just meaning embryonic cells, meaning cells that should have been deleted before the child was born.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Now, one of the key aspects of cancer being properly managed is early detection, and it's the same even in childhood cancer. So can you give us a few things that parents can look out for or guardians can look out for with regards to early detection of cancer in children?
That's a great question. Early detection is very important in all cancers, but especially for children. And why? Because like I said, like Valentine said, children actually respond very, very well. Like I said, the cells are blast cells. They're not mature cells at all. The adults, when an adult develops cancers, they are usually from mature cells, so they know their way around.
Yes.
Okay, blast cells are basically like, you know, nursery school, what I call it, nursery school jagudas. So they are very easy. Just slap them once and just, you know, they get themselves right. That's the way I like to think about it.
Okay.
So early detection is especially important because if you catch children early, you can and you treat properly, you can have up to, I mean, in the developed countries, you know, survival of some kind of cancers are 80%, 90%. You know, so you're talking about, you know, you're having NGOs around, oh, childhood cancer survivors. It's that big, you know. So, you know, and the prognosis for children for many cancers are far better than an adult. You pick a child, you give the chemo, like I said, the jaguda is just learning how to be a jaguda. It doesn't even know much yet. So you take the child, you treat the child, boom, moves on. And then, you know, if the child never told you, oh, I had cancer when I was a child, nobody would know.
Yes.
You understand? So it's very important to be able to detect this very early, and then, you know, catch the child early, and then, you know, treat and then move on. So it's one of the things that we're extremely invested in our organization. So what we do is basically we try to train health workers, especially at the level of primary health care.
Yes.
Because the average child, the average person actually accesses healthcare, first of all, from the level of the primary healthcare provider. And your primary healthcare provider is that, you know, that small government clinic, that community health worker, that who sees your problems and then, you know, basically sees whether you should see a higher level, and that's a doctor. Not everyone sees a doctor. First of all, because doctors are not enough, and then second of all, because of the way the healthcare system is designed, because so that doctors are not overwhelmed, people are trained to be able to manage, you know, things like malaria, diarrhea, and all of that. So we decided, listen, if the people who are trained to manage malaria, diarrhea, HIV, community TB and all, can we train them how to be able to help to detect early?
Yes.
So we developed a curriculum. We're very proud of it. It's an innovative curriculum, and, you know, under the program called Look Again. And the idea is that even when you go to the community healthcare worker, before you diagnose that child with malaria, please look again. Before you diagnose that child with TB, look again. Before you think this is HIV or TB, you know, look again. And what that means is that we develop 5 signs and 5 questions that the community health worker can ask the parent and examine in that child. What we want to do is to raise the suspicion of that community health worker to see, what am I looking at? And if any of these, so there's a scoring system. You look at that child, you score. If the child scores from middle to high on that scoring system, that community health worker is absolutely trained to be able to refer that child immediately into the secondary care system, where this child is going to be seen by a doctor, preferably a pediatrician or an oncologist. So basically what we decided to do was to tackle early detection in the community with our Look Again campaign. We've launched our pilot in Ogun State. We're very proud of that. We launched it this February, and we're very proud of that. We were able to train about 300 community healthcare workers to be able to recognize the early signs and you know, possible early signs and symptoms of childhood cancer. And we intend to go to scale it up nationally, going from state to state to state to state. It is our hope that as these continue, we'll be able to have more children being picked up early and pushed properly into the system, not just push this child around, you know, with the wrong diagnosis.
Thank you, Dr. Adeniram. It's very interesting that you mentioned all these things, and it's very encouraging. I feel, I mean, people like you should be encouraged to more by government, you know, government bodies and executives really to look into providing more facilities, health facilities, to improve prognosis. Now, prognosis is not enough. We understand that we have 22 hospital-based cancer registries for adults. But what if you were put in that position to, you know,
you mean when I take over the government?
No, not yet. If you're put in a position to suggest policies that would encourage, you know, the tackling of childhood cancers in Nigeria, what would you suggest to the government?
So Valentine said, I can't take over the government.
Not yet.
But if I had to suggest policies, absolutely. First of all, I would institutionalize programs like us, like what we just did,
Yeah.
again, which is empowering healthcare workers. I always say at the root of trying to change the healthcare system is getting to the community health worker.
Yes.
Why? Because we have a situation in Nigeria, in Africa actually, but let's stick with Nigeria. We know that doctors are not enough, and they continue to be. Okay, and the only way to ask them to make them not leave is to one, match what they could possibly earn outside the country,
Right.
which is a tall order, or basically force them not to leave, which is against some fundamental rights and against free market. Right. So what you want to do to ensure that people are getting the healthcare they deserve or they need is to, how do we in some way trickle down some of the skills that doctors have to lower cadre workers, and that will fix the problem in the interim while we're thinking of, okay, are we going to try and match what doctors are there? Are we going to create some special benefits of healthcare workers in the region? While you're fixing that problem, you can stop the gap with increasing the skills and the capacity of lower cadre workers to say, okay, what can you do a little bit more of? You're great at this, can you do a little more of this? So I would institutionalize that first of all, increase the skills. I would definitely include children in the cancer registry in Nigeria, because the thing about it is that even developers that want to come and invest in cancer care in Nigeria, they need the facts, they need the statistics, and they don't have.
They do.
So first of all, I would increase the skills to be able to capture the data, and then I will institutionalize today. Definitely start capturing data on every single type of cancer there is there, and I want children to be a priority because we need to invest in children, we need to invest in the future. That also, children are the ones that are also going to let us know, is there something happening in the environment? Because adults were basically, the adult body being formed is basically quite resilient.
And adapted to
It's adapted, so
changes.
it won't let you know what's going on. But the children's body will let you know. Children don't pretend. If they are sick, they are sick. Like, I'm sick.
Yes.
They don't manage.
They're not going to manage
it,
you. So children are actually a more reliable measure of the health system or the health environment. So I think it's a missed opportunity to not include children in the cancer registry. I think it's a missed opportunity till now to not focus on early detection in children.
Thank you so much. If you're just tuning in, this is Lagos Talks here on Smooth Breakfast. We'll be speaking to Dr. Peju Adeniram, Head of Programs, the Dorcas Cancer Foundation. And we're looking at International Childhood Cancer Day with the theme No More Pain and No More Loss. We've talked about childhood cancer, statistics around it. We've looked at early detection. We've spoken about what the government could possibly do better to manage this in Nigeria. And now it's been good to look at the common types of cancers found in children. I know that leukemia is the most common type. That's the cancer of the blood for childhood cancer. What other types of cancer are prevalent amongst children?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. So leukemia is, yes, the most prevalent. It's cancer of the blood. It will present as the child being anemic. Basically, that child will just be pale all the time, being weak, will not slide. You see changes in the hair and all. Of course, people generally think, oh, it's malaria, and like I said, creatively, a little typhoid. And that can go on. So leukemia basically usually has no swelling. People tend to associate cancer with a swelling somewhere. Leukemia will not have any swelling because it's not a solid cancer. It's that of the blood. So that's common. What's also common that we're seeing in Nigeria is also retinoblastoma. Retinoblastoma is cancer of the eye, seen in the retina of the eye. There's a very simple test for this, or there's a very simple check for this. I would say when you see a blast cell in the child, the blast cell behaves abnormally. It reflects light abnormally. So a simple check would be, have that child in the room, switch off the light, and if you see white spots, the retina cells, so the retina captures light. When the light goes off, the cells are supposed to not reflect any light anymore. But a blast cell in the retina behaves abnormally. So you start seeing the eye reflect light, in a funny way. You may see, still when the lights are off, you still see a white thing in the eye, or sometimes in pictures.
Reflected?
Yes.
Just like that of the cat.
Of the cat. Yes. And people, and sometimes in pictures will capture, so there's this thing called a white eye or a red eye.
Red eye. Red eye is
so
the one
in children,
pictures.
yes, in children, if you're seeing consistently a red eye in a child, and that's because when the flash goes in, almost everybody's eye, can basically accommodate, but a blast cell will behave abnormally, and you can see a funny, and that's called, everybody has a red eye from time to time, but in a child, if you're seeing consistently, this child always has a red eye or a white eye, so take that child to go and see the doctor.
And then take more pictures of children.
Take more pictures, yes.
Take more
Alright, so
children pictures.
Observation obviously is very key. Being
Absolutely.
attentive,
Yes.
observing.
Yeah.
We have to go on a break now because but we have a question. We have some
Okay.
comments here.
Oh, sure.
Kola Ajibade from Jersey says, God bless you, Dr. Peju.
Thank you.
We acknowledge that health is wealth.
Yeah.
When our body, soul, and spirit is functioning well, people will mentally be sound, and a lot of attention will be diverted from the other irrelevancies. Doctors cure, correct, and control. But Jesus happens to be the only healer, he said. This cancer syndrome has wrecked a lot of people's well-being. There are fruits and herbs like sap, plus other things that get rid of the cancer. But people spend horrendous amounts seeking cure from countries like India. Please elaborate on the effectiveness of traditional medicine as a solution to this menace and epidemic. And then he adds, shouldn't the ministries of health and education carry the biggest percentage of our national budget? We'll take the answer right after this break.
Very loaded question.
Loaded question.
Guy Bex.
I'm telling you. So we'll take, I think before introducing the traditional angle, find out how the cost implication on parents, because it seems like most parents are charged humongous amounts, and yes, sometimes it might be considered extreme, but how knowledgeable are they, to understand the level of cost? I mean, knowing cost implication will go vis-a-vis understanding the problem and the extent of the problem.
Again, it's not entering the health system properly. If somebody asks me how much does cancer cost to treat, I'll say how much does a car cost. There's no answer. It depends on what kind of car
you buy.
What is it, a new car? Is it so there's no, but cancer can be expensive. And again, it comes back to, if you catch a child in cancer stage 4, it is at least 20 times more expensive than that. If you catch a retinoblastoma early, you take maybe 2-3 courses of chemo, and that's it. 300,000, 400,000, if at all, if that, and that's it. If you catch that child with the same retinoblastoma in stage 4, which you can get there under 9 months, when the child has, a big swelling already, probably has metastasized to the other eye, then you now have to do surgery, remove the eye, probably remove the other eye, look for prosthesis, give chemo, give radiation. You can see how the cost escalates just from
So the child will
one.
lose their sight to stage 4.
If it's stage 4, probably their life. Stage 1, stage 2, can possibly. Stage 1, you can definitely keep your eye. Stage 2, you probably will lose the eye but have the other one.
I think it would be good to also reassure. So, because your message with regards to it not being fatal, and that it's the most maybe to re-emphasize that. Because one of the reasons that we want to bury our head in the sand. We don't want to,
I know. So again, it's so sad because children cancers, the prognosis is so sad. It's so good.
Yeah, because we have one at 2:31, so we only have like 2 minutes.
Can't forget to messages, or maybe she will ask to this.
Okay. Yeah, so we can't take a long line now, so we're coming back shortly. Mike's up.
It's 9:29 a.m. You're listening to Lagos Talks 981, part of Smooth Breakfast here on Smooth 98.1. Dr. Peju Adeniram is here. She's the head of programs at the Dorcas Cancer Foundation. We're looking at childhood cancers as was celebrated or commemorated last Friday. Dr. Peju, before the break, we had a question in from Kola Ajibade. He asked a few set of questions. First one being the application of traditional medicine in tackling cancer issues in children.
Okay, so the jury is still out on traditional medicine. Research is being done, I want to believe. So as of today, there is no traditional medicine that can be used to cure childhood cancer. We know because at the Dorcas Cancer Foundation, we've helped children get access to treatment. Okay. We've managed about 48 children, and in our own cohorts, some of the parents have, tried traditional treatment before or after. One or two that we've heard of have, dropped out of Western medicine,
Yes.
basically, and going to try traditional, and we don't have any stories of survival from any of those children.
Yes.
So, so as it is, I don't know. Traditional medicine is very wide, as you can imagine. There are many things you can, but as of today, there is no evidence that traditional medicine can cure cancer. Of course, there are things that living a preventative lifestyle and eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. Again, I'm going to say it doesn't apply so much to children because children are from blast cells; they're not lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
So that's as far as that that's concerned. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that I don't know of traditional medicines that could help.
Okay.
Right. Thank you very much for that. We'll take a few more messages and then we'll go on a break. We'll take one more message and then we'll go on a break. All right, we have this from WhatsApp. Don't forget, you can call in after this break. You can call in and ask your questions directly to Dr. Adeniram. Good morning, Dr. Peju.
Yeah.
Very laudable work you're doing, Ma. Our people and African people by nature are too worried by stigmatization, even when it's unfounded. And there are more awareness programs like the Look Again you mentioned, but for the citizens, that would go a long way to reorientate generally. Very good comments right there, Cruz.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You.
When we come back, we'll continue the discussion around International Childhood Cancer Day. We have Dr. Peju Adeniram of the Dorcas Cancer Foundation with us here in the studio. Stay tuned.
Well done. Hello?
You know, my dream job is to be in the studio and listen to the
You are very good
As in,
at it.
my-
You're very good
I'll
at
just
it.
be there like
This is very good.
Like my
I know
dream
that mothers
job.
in particular would be very
Yes.
interested in this.
yes.
So they are looking at how to help capture data. That's so important.
Capture data,
yeah.
absolutely.
Oh yeah. So
And even funding as well.
Yeah,
because
funding.
that's a huge.
Funding is
Well,
definitely
like-
not as complex or as scary as people think. Definitely not. People are really surprised. It's not.
Alright, we're coming back soon.
Firstly, what I like about Lagos is that it's working. It's clearly improving daily, and that makes Lagos an exciting place to be. Secondly, you can take from it as much or as little as you like. The choice of culture at the Muso, live music in so many venues. Lagos is bubbling, it's buzzing. For me, Lagos is where the American dream, the European vision,
Coming back now.
African fire.
Lagos, you're tuned in and listening to Smooth Breakfast, and it's time for Lagos Talks 981. We're halfway done, and we're having a very interesting conversation that has really sparked a lot of thoughts in our mind regarding childhood cancer. And Dr. Peju Adeniram is here, shedding, actually just enlightening us and educating us on childhood cancers. A lot of facts and figures emerge, but sadly, we still do not have not just a research center or facilities that would aid in preventing these childhood cancers or tackling them. But we still lack, in a larger sense, statistics, to point to the deficiencies that are involved. Now we have a message in from Cassie. Cassie sent this on WhatsApp. I'm just listening to Dr. Peju with all forms of emotion. I do not have any questions. Just God bless you.
God
Really,
bless you, Cassie.
how can mere mortals like us support with capturing data and even building visibility for the Dorcas project and the Operation Look Again? I'm very interested to support in any way.
So you can reach us on social media. We are there, usually, doing some fantastic work
I like
or
the
the
dance
other.
you're doing.
Yes, you should see my dance in the studio. That's how every day we go out, we grind. It's hard, but we're very encouraged by the work and the vision. So where you can reach us on our social media pages, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're everywhere that you can walk into our office. We're just there in Ikori.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there was a question earlier.
All right, Cruz, thank you very much indeed for reiterating your question. Very important. So in the comments we read before the break, he asked, are there more awareness programs like the Look Again you mentioned, but this time for the citizens? Because you mentioned training.
Oh, absolutely,
workers.
that is true. Apart from the Look Again, it's basically holistic in the sense that while we are training community health workers, we're also doing community awareness.
Okay.
Right. So that, Cruz, I apologize, I did not emphasize that, but I should have. We also do community awareness. We go into the communities, talk to people about what if you have mother's instincts are never off.
Mm.
The mother knows something
Yes,
is going
yes,
on.
yes.
Half the time, the mother has said something wrong with this child, but she has taken the child to where they told her to take the child to. And sometimes the problem is not that the mother doesn't think there's something going on. She's taken the child to a healthcare center where the person really doesn't know.
Mm.
So the person will tell her the answer is malaria. So she carries the child home, even when her body is like, there's still something going on. So we decided that, okay, there's a two-pronged approach to this. Tell the mother, look, it's okay to be paranoid, or don't let anybody tell you that you're paranoid. If there's nothing too much for your child. And then on the other hand too, we've made sure that we want to educate the healthcare worker. So when the two of them are meeting, the outcome is that you have a more informed mother and you also have a more informed healthcare worker. Because if we say, okay, we wait for that mother to be able to somehow navigate herself through the system to be able to see an oncologist or a pediatrician, she may get discouraged. Because, you know, these people are usually men or women in white coats speaking a lot of English. This woman is just a rural a living person, or even an urban living person who's not necessarily empowered. She might be underserved, so she might not know how to approach the healthcare system properly. So we're saying, encourage her to say, listen, if you feel there's something wrong with your child, you're right, period. Until somebody says, oh, you know what, go and sleep, there's nothing wrong with your child. And we want that person to be a pediatrician or an oncologist. I'm very happy for a child to be misdiagnosed as cancer and then you find out that, you know what, is malaria. I'm happy. Those are the kind of mistakes I like. I live every day for those kind of medical mistakes, to say, okay, you know what, actually it wasn't cancer, it was just malaria. I'm good, you know. So I would rather more mistakes keep popping up. If
So err on the side of caution.
Absolutely.
Be cautious all the time. Yeah.
Which brings me to my next question. It's very interesting, Dr. Adeniram, that you mentioned that. So we have pediatricians, we have oncologists around Nigeria. First, there's a challenge of identifying who to go to, which is the reason why we have this kind of program, so at least you could talk about it and then the mothers would know. And then again, there's the ignorance that costs us a lot of money. First, I would like to understand the cost implication of handling, you know, a child that's suffering.
What does it cost when a child has cancer?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to ask. It's disturbing already.
It's a great question. It's a great question.
People spend so much money,
absolutely,
and sometimes they are ripped off by even ignorant health practitioners.
Absolutely. So the first question, I answered it off air, but I'm going to answer it again. What does it cost to treat cancer? What does it cost to buy a car? So, you know, you're going to ask, what kind of car? What year? What model? What make? Is it Tokumbo? Is it Nigeria use? Is it, you know? So the cost of a child cancer depends on what kind of cancer, what stage it is, how old the child is, when did this child present to, and sometimes as like, you know, what is the background of that child? What I find though, overall, is that the cost that people imagine, it's never the cost that it turns out to be. The reason is this. As technology and medicine advances, drugs that were initially very expensive 5-10 years ago because of patent issues, you know, you spend a lot of money in R&D and research and development. So when you come out, you protect that drug with a lot of, you know, people can't, you know, make copies of it. So over the years, because childhood cancer is also moving up on the agenda, there are concerted moves to make sure that the medication is cheaper. Right? So people are usually, if chemotherapy, for instance, when people hear chemotherapy for a child, they're like, you know, there's chemotherapy of 30,000. And I know that
30,000 for what duration?
Yeah, what duration? How many times? How many courses of? You know, sometimes you could have. And this is the ballpark. I'm thinking of a specific cancer in my head, and I'm thinking of a specific child in my head. Some children are treated completely from start to finish for 500,000. Now I know that 500,000 might. Yes, that's a lot. That's a lot of money for very, very many Nigerians. So first of all, but it is often not the imagination of people. People think cancer is necessarily from 15 million, 17 million. So the responsible statement is, I know that 500,000, 300,000 is, you know, not cheap. However, it is usually not the imagination of people. That's one. The second one is that we find that that amount is probably something that is doable with help. If you don't have that money and you go out and say, listen, people will come and help me, say 300,000, 500,000 is going to kill this child forever. It is doable.
Just quick question here. We have a question on here, but that would come after the break. But quick question. Oh, we have a call. All right, let's take this call very quickly. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
What is your name, please? Welcome, Andy. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. That's
Amen
true.
to that.
Yes.
Amen to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Andy.
you. Thank you.
Oh, that's okay.
I think people
Well,
are
thank you.
listening more.
Thank you, Andy. We're glad you called.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually think people are listening more and trying to organize their thoughts.
Their
It's
thoughts.
not a topic
Yeah.
that you want to
It's
respond
heavy.
to. It's
It's
a heavy
heavy.
topic.
It's heavy.
So we do understand and appreciate the
Yeah.
fact that people are listening and soaking it in. We're getting
Yeah.
messages on
Yeah.
WhatsApp. So please,
All right. So the quick answer to that is that.
Please hold that
okay.
thought.
All right.
We
Yes.
do have to take a break.
because we don't want we want a robust answer.
A robust.
All right, Lagos, we'll be right back. We're going to quick break. When we come back, Dr. Adeniram will be answering your questions. We have a few more on WhatsApp that we will be taking. So I guess we'll dedicate the last part of the show to just taking your comments and your questions. All right.
Hi everyone, my name is Genie, and love is unconditional. Love
If I was not a doctor, I would not be calling him for cancer myself.
No.
It's true.
No, it's a very heavy topic.
No, it's heavy. No
Because
doubt.
some people have take the some people doesn't even want to listen.
They don't want to
because-
listen. Yeah, because you have this sense that if I don't listen, it doesn't exist, right?
and
Especially.
they don't even know what to ask because
Yeah.
largely the people don't know a lot about what you're
Yeah.
saying, so it's
Yeah.
like new
Yeah.
stuff to them. They're trying
Yeah.
to process
Yeah.
it.
And then if you have a child,
Mm.
the last thing you want to hear is that there's a possibility that this child will have something, because the foundation, in fact, half of the reason why I wouldn't even go in for the longest time was that I can't work into house that it becomes too hard.
Depressing.
It's depressing. Oh, of course.
Cool. I can't even remember. When you were saying that, when you said, "Oh, how many people have called? How many people have come?" I was like, "You actually deal with you children that have cancer."
Real children, you go into the bathroom, you cry, your eyes are come out, you fix your mascara, and then come out and then you look like, oh, doctor, you're so brave. It's like, you know
don't
that you
look like
just
it.
finished yourself.
You don't look like you. You look very happy and vibrant. That's good.
Because her
Coffee.
energy is on the
Yeah.
Coffee,
100.
coffee, and whatever you have to take to get through the day,
Coffee
man.
gang.
Coffee gang. Whatever you do to get through the day, it's really depressing work.
Happy life.
You call it again. If you say the way Mr. Roberts now, the way the other men,
Who's that?
the regular callers.
Oh, Mr.
But
yeah,
also women are
Robinson.
the ones that will probably call more than men.
Excuse me.
Visit
We don't need to read out that
www.axamentar.com
last
or
part.
call
No.
0800 Axamentar today. Axamentar, redefining standards. The city that never sleeps.
So.
When I
That's me.
think of Lagos,
That's me.
the first thing that comes to my mind is the traffic.
Penny for your
Everybody's
thoughts.
in a rush. Where
Back to
they're
now.
going to, no idea. But they all seem alive and happy. So from the busy day jobs to the non-stop, ever-blazing nightlife, Lagos is indeed the place to be. Everybody says it's Ikoyi.
Alright, we're back again. Oh, going back now.
And that's my
We're in for the last few minutes of Lagos Talks 981 as a part of Smith Breakfast with Ayo.
And Valentine.
And today is a special. We've been chatting very interestingly on the issue of childhood cancer with Dr. Peju Adeniram, who's in to commemorate with us the events that we marked on the 15th of February, last Friday. That is the International Childhood Cancer Day.
And the theme for this year is no more pain and no more loss. We had some questions before the break, and now we'll be going back to those questions. If you have a question you'd like to ask directly via phone call, you can call this number 01-448-9981. You need to call very quickly because we'll be out of here in about 6 minutes.
Yes.
But we have this one here. Aniwura Inikeja asks, are there cancer vaccines for children? And we would repeat, the Dorcas the Dorcas
Cancer
Cancer
Foundation.
Foundation is Dr. Adeniram's organization, she
Yeah,
asked.
yeah.
And then we'll go back also to the caller who called before.
Okay, so I'm going to take Andy's call first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Andy's call said, "Is there research going on?"
Mm.
And you know, when people say research, they usually imagine the scientist with the lab coat inside the, you know, the
Yes.
lab. You know, so, yeah. So, research actually starts from, first of all, collecting data. Data lets you know what's the scale of the problem. So, and then from the scale of the problem, you now can go back and say, okay, you know, what kind of cancers are we seeing? What, you know, from which side is it? You know, so collecting data is primarily the initial stage of research, which is something we're very interested in. We're also very interested in scientists and researchers who want to do work in childhood cancer. We support academic grants. Last year we funded an academic grant. We're still going to fund an academic grant this year too. So if you're working in childhood cancer, you want to write a paper in childhood cancer, please let us know. We support academic grants, research grants with funding. So that's Andy's question. Thank you very much, Andy, for calling in. The second question is that second question was
she asked about vaccines.
Okay, right.
Cancer
No,
vaccines.
there are no vaccines for children cancers. There are vaccines for other types of cancers. HPV vaccine is for cervical cancer. You can get it as a child, but the cancer it's protecting you from is not the kind of cancer you're going to get. Yes, it's in the future. So thank you. And you know, there's also hepatitis B, which can, you know, it actually prevents you not just from hepatitis B infection, but liver cancer. Again, that's an adult cancer, but you get those vaccines as a child.
Right.
So that's the difference.
Thank you, Dr. Adeniram. I mean, there's a question that was just lingering on our minds, and I'm sure a lot of listeners are really, you know, very interested in that. Most parents have been complaining about the challenge of funding, but let's go to the phone lines and answer this last question.
Hello,
morning.
good morning.
Good morning to you. What is your name, please?
All right, Oye, please go ahead. So sorry to hear that.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah, childhood cancer. All right, thank you. Oh yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Oye.
So support actually links with that question.
Yeah, links with that question. So obviously a lot of people are very interested in research and you know how. So if you think that we should be doing that work in research, that means that you are probably that person that you need. So sometimes people say, oh, can we? The answer is yes, you can. How? Give us a call, Mr. Oye. Again, we're sorry for your loss. But if you want to, if it's laid upon your heart that it's something you want to do, then you know, reach us. Like I said, you can reach us very easily. We're on Facebook. If you reach us on social media, we can tell you where our office is. You can come in and see how you can, you know, put in your skills, put in your time. We're a non-for-profit. People can support us by giving money. Sometimes people support us by giving their time. Time is also very important. And
so people can volunteer with
absolutely. We have a volunteer of people coming from their own homes, out of their own money. You know, we don't with their money from their own pocket to say, how can I help? And you know, we have people interested in research grants. We have people that do ward visits for some of the children that we support with funds. People are saying, okay, can we go and, you know, greet to the children, give them hope?
That's a good one.
That's a good one. People come up with toys. They come, they sing for them.
Awesome.
We dance.
Fantastic.
You know, I'm always the best dancer. Let me just tell you that one. But you know,
we know that for a fact.
yes, they're always still trying to come and unseat me, but you know, it's not happening.
All right, very quickly, because we're about to round off now. How much support do you get from the government? So recently in the news, it was said that the Lagos State Ministry of Health had said they're going to partner with the organization. An organization like yours that do the work that you do you get enough government support, or do you think they should be doing more?
Do we get enough? No. Do I think we should be doing more? No. Do I think they should be doing more? Absolutely, yes.
How? How can they support?
Okay, first of all, like the program we said, the Look Again, they can institutionalize it, put it in policy,
Okay.
and say, okay, how can we replicate what was done here? How can we, replicate it across all states? That would be a start. How do we find a way to pay for people's time? How do we directly support children? We're pushing for a policy, for instance, to say any child that's been diagnosed with cancer, they should waive admission fee.
Okay.
So once the child is admitted, and the real problem we find with parents who are like, even when they want to get the child to the hospital, when you get there, they slam an admission fee of,
and that scares them off.
And that scares them off. They'll take the child back to, the babala, who's not going to ask for admission fee. Oh, welcome, sit down, and that's it. So we're raising policies like that, and we're hoping that we can get government support with those policies that make it easier for those patients to come into the system.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peju
You are very
Adeniram.
welcome.
To round up, we have messages here. Engineer Nimot Muli from Unicon Lagos said, we are listening with rapt attention, very educative and
Thank you
enlightening.
very
Thank you, Smooth FM. Thank you, Ayo Val and Dr. Adeniram is her name. And Oye from Isola says, I'm a branding person. Please, how can I support the public enlightenment of your work? Which brings us to asking for your social media handles.
The Dorcas Cancer Foundation on Instagram, the Dorcas Cancer Foundation on Twitter, the Dorcas Cancer Foundation on Facebook. It's the same thing.
Lagos,
Fantastic.
from this show, you already know that you need to pay attention to your children. Visit a pediatrician today, an oncologist. If you're not sure, once they say it's malaria or typhoid, please ask again, look again, look
Yes,
again.
Look again.
It is something that we're championing, and cancers, especially childhood cancers, are always common from genetic anomalies in children. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank
Peju
you.
Adeniram.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, Lagos, thank you so much for being a part of today's conversation and the show as a whole. Thank you. We do this again tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. starting you off with Beyond the Quote all the way to Lagos Talks at 9 o'clock.
Yes.
See you tomorrow morning.
Good morning.